First of all, guten Tag, Doag. I am not a Deutsch speaker, but I am very honored to be speaking at Doag today. So we will start to see some. I need to get rid of this. Sorry. We will see some tips and tricks that I use in my daily basis when I need to patch some database, Oracle Enterprise Manager, and other Oracle products. Okay, so my current company, eProceed, with specialized in Oracle delivery solutions. A little bit about me. I am principal DB architect for Luxembourg eProceed office. I am an Oracle certified master, also an Oracle ACE member, and I am a chairman of Lux OUG and also board member of Grupo de Usuários Oracle do Brasil. It's a GUOB. Okay. Some of my contacts, if you need to contact me, please follow me on Twitter, my Gmail, and LinkedIn. So, as I mentioned before, I am part of the Oracle ACE program. So, if you like to share knowledge among the community, please submit your nomination or nominate a friend and to become an ACE. It's a really nice program, recognized and by a lot of experts who share knowledge on the Oracle community around the world in presentations on Oracle Open World and webinars and other. This is the amazing Oracle source. It's a free magazine called Oracle World, which I was awarded to get one paper published on this very busy agenda of the magazine. And I suggest you to subscribe. It's free online, and you have a lot of Oracle good content on this magazine. What we're gonna see today is the agenda. So I simplify this presentation not to be specific how to apply one patch, one specific patch. What I am trying to show to you today, it's how I am thinking when I need to patch some Oracle product. So I divided this presentation in three steps, which will be planning, applying, and checking. So it's a kind of a workflow that I used to follow. I hope this helps you. So planning is the most difficult part to take when we are discussing about patching. So we need to align with the users, at least for the areas. We need to check if we have some conflicts with some patches. We must be supersede or conflict with the current patch we are planning to do. We need to align the maintenance window, and I will give to you today some workarounds to avoid, to minimize this downtime for your systems, because most of our systems are nowadays 24/7. Since I started my career, it was very easy to get outage of a system, but nowadays it's really difficult to ask your manager, oh, I need to patch a database, and I will put the database down for 3 hours. It's almost impossible nowadays. But for all lucky as DBAs, Oracle is working for each version, each product release, to have more and more availability. So nowadays the patch exercise it's simpler. Okay. The thoughts on this presentation are on my own, not necessarily reflect what my current employee positions. So it's up to me. So let's check the first phase of my workflow, the planning. So we need to check the environment, we need to check for conflicts, we need to check space, we need to check a lot of things. So that's why we need to plan. If we do a good planning strategy to apply a patch, the whole thing become easier on the execution. I think for most of the things, if you have a good plan, a good strategy with some possible pitfalls, with some possible things to remark as a attention point, you are able to deliver a good quality patch, for example, exercise. Okay. So in this phase, we need to check, define the maintenance window and other stuff. So why patch is so important? Some people frequently told me, oh no, tells me, oh no, my system is working pretty well. I don't need to patch because my queries are flying. My reports are very good response time. So why I need to patch and break everything that is working so good, so nice? And then I can give a list of points to their back. So first of all, patching avoid issues that you are not into. Time to time, we are using very old systems without any patch on it, and we suddenly face another 600 or another 7445. And it may occur because of data change on the database all the time. So at some point we hit some black hole on Oracle code, and then bam, Oracle 600 appears, or we are running very well and suddenly we start to feel some slowness on our system, and can be because of a bug. So we can avoid some issues that we didn't face. So some other people already discovered that bug, contact Oracle, provide the patch, and then we can add this correction on our system to avoid this kind of problem. Security. So time to time, I think 4 times per year, Oracle publish some security patch CVEs, so common vulnerability exposures. So this is some specific numbers with the patch associated on it. So another thing, sometimes you are already facing a bug, so we need to patch to fix that bug on your environment on the fly, because you already face that bug that you probably will prevent if you patch often your systems. Another thing, it's performance issue. Sometimes performance can be degraded because of a bug on our systems. And the last important point is upgrades. If we are running into engineering systems, to perform some upgrades, we need to have some patch level on our environment. So sometimes to upgrade to a major version, we need to patch to an intermediate version and then upgrade to the final one, the desired. Okay. So who like me dinosaur DBA, who still refer MOS as a metalink, are used to refer patches as PSU, which means patch site updates, and BP, proactive bundle patches. This nomenclature of patching was changed in Oracle 12c release 2. So kind of Oracle replaced the BP, which was a superset of PSU, plus optimizer and functional fixes for the RU, or release update, and also RUR, which means release update revision. So if you want to check more information about these two new nomenclature, we can check these two links here from Mike Dietrich. It's working in the database upgrade team. So one thing that I can assure you, if you want to be more stable on your environment, please stick with the RUs. Don't play with the RUR. Oh, sorry. So RU are released quarterly as the old fashion, and you can have RUR or not, depend of what Oracle decides. Okay. So first thing to help us to planning is the patch download assistant. It was very difficult in the past to find a specific patch. If you are planning to do by your own. So for example, if you have a problem and you are open a service request with Oracle probably will give to you the patch number. Oh, okay, apply this patch on your system, it will solve the problem. But sometimes, most of times, if we are going to be proactive, we need to find the current patch set. So this patch download assistant with this doc ID here is a tool to easy our lives. So here you can choose the database. I will put the pen here. You can choose the database release or the patches, and then we can choose the version that we want to patch, and then here we can choose the patch that we are going to apply. And from this screen, we can direct to the download area and download, for example, the last April 2020 patch to apply in a system, which is for 19 version, is the 19.7. Okay. So the last screen forward us to this screen. We can select the platform of the patch we want to apply, and we can check for conflicts on our environment. So with this button here, we can upload our LS inventory or patch LS inventory into a file, and then we can upload, and Oracle will compare these to with the patch that we want to apply. Okay. So here in this screen, you can attach the file that I mentioned before, LS inventory. You can direct it to a text file and then attach here, and you can click on the button here, analyze for conflicts. on this analyze for conflicts, Oracle will see if you have a patch with conflicts with the current patch, with the patch that we are intend to apply in the system. If the has some conflicts, you can request a merge in this screen. So for example, if I upload my file, Oracle will compare with the patch number here, which means database release 19.7, and then will tell me, oh, you have a conflict with this patch. You can request a merge, or you can uninstall this patch because it's not necessary anymore. Okay. One thing that could difficult a lot your life as a DBA is skip some recommendation on the README files. So gold rule here, when you are going to apply a patch, download the patch first in advance, read careful all README files, because I saw on 18C there is some multiple README files in some patches. So check if you have one or many, and then read them careful, because one patch can have different requirements than others. So maybe general is the same. They have some pre-checks, some basic rules, upgrade the OPatch, and then you can go for apply the patch. But sometimes you have different requirements. Okay, so here, for example, it's a really important information, because you can discover if the patch is holding upgrade. You can, for example, apply in one node of rack at time. You can check if the patch is data guard aware. You can apply standby first. That's information. This kind of information is listed here on patch information. Okay. Here, as I mentioned, this patch has multiple README files on it, here and here. So read then careful to see if there is difference of requirements, because I'm not sure if Oracle will keep this kind of behavior, but when I saw these in the patch, I was really worried about it. I said, oh my gosh, I need to read more README. And believe me, I already failed some patch exercise because I don't have time to plan accordingly, as I suggested in the beginning of the presentation, and I skipped some part of the procedure on the README file. Then I failed with error. Okay. If you are going to apply patches on your environment, and sure you will, I recommend you read all these notes here. So we have some here, sorry, I listed the download assistant to guide you to apply to find the correct numbers of RU or RUR, PSU, whatever. This nomenclature is not valid for Windows, just for Unix and Linux for the moment. Okay, so for the Windows, as far as I know, last time I checked, still valid the BP and PSU. Okay. So here you have database proactive patch information for 19C. Here we have some new features of Datapatch. I think still the same for 19C, but it's a good document to check. Okay. So now we are going to imagine that we already planning everything was aligned. So now it's time to apply a patch. So in this part, we will see some things that I used to do when I have the green light. We can follow two different paths here, or either we can apply a patch in the current home running on the system, but it requires some downtime, or we can, for example, duplicate, clone Oracle installation if we have extra space. I think nowadays it's not a really big issue. The systems that we play today has plenty of storage, so have duplicated the 10 15 gigabytes of one big Oracle home is not really necessary a problem. So if we clone this installation, we can patch during the business hour, and then when we have the green light for the maintenance window, we can just stop the database and start in this new cloned Oracle home already patched, and then we can load the data dictionary patches on it, which nowadays it's online with Datapatch. So first thing, I will shot 3 questions. How many of you do production database backup on daily basis? Probably most of you replied, me, raise hands. Yeah. Second question, do you have a backup policy for your Oracle home? As my experience, probably half then the audience raise their hands, okay, more or less. And do you have, that's why the second question, the third question will be because of the second. Do you have in your hands all patches applied on your system since you install it? So for example, if you lose one Oracle installation in one server, do you have in a safe place with integrity all the patches applied on the system? So that's why you should have a backup policy of your Oracle home. Okay, it's simple. It's just a tar of your environment. You go as root because of privileges, and then you tar the file. So for example, in this, I am generate a TMP file with the all contents of my Oracle home. So if we need to do a clone, if you decide to go like this, we can create, go to the Oracle home director and create, for example, a new one, a director, give permissions, give ownership, give permissions, then enter on the director, and then just untar the file, just extract the backup I did before. This is the first part. We process this as root, and then as Oracle user, we can just export Oracle Home, go to the Oracle Home clone bin, and launch this script with this long line here. We pass Oracle Base, Oracle Home, Oracle Groups, and the name of the new Oracle Home, and that's it. You have, after some minutes, cloned Oracle Home registered on your Oracle Central inventory. So if something goes wrong during the patch exercise, you can easily move your Oracle Home damage and then recreate the folder to privileges and then restore. After restore, after extract, we should issue a relink. So in this case, as Oracle user, go to Oracle Home bin and issue a relink all. And then we need to go to this folder. The relink will point to you the log file. And then we need to try to find on the log file for these words, code 1, fatal, or error. If you don't find any of these messages, we are good. We restart successful. It's just a matter of start up the database again. Okay, so things to check when we are doing a patch before using OPatch ls inventory to see if your inventory it's good. It's we known corruption. Sometimes I try to patch some system. When I launch OPatch, I discover some DBAs edit the XML files by hands and then damage the file. So check the OPatch version because you are probably required to upgrade the OPatch during the patch exercise. So here it's very important backup of Oracle Home. You can also decide to clone the Oracle Home to don't mess with the current Oracle Home, and this clone, if you have space, will save a lot of time. You don't need to go during the night to apply a patch. You can apply a patch during the day and just during the night stop and start the database and then apply the SQL on it. So relink Oracle Home. If you do a relink before the patch, you save a lot of time because I faced some issue. I will show in Oracle 11G. I did some problems. Check the OS version. If you download the right version according to your platform, check the entire hidden file as I told you before. Don't use NFS to store the patch, to store backups. At least I have some problem in the past because I put a backup on an NFS server, and then when I tried to restore, it was damaged. So for my lucky, I have the untouched Oracle Home on the other server. It was a hack. Check if you have available memory because to unzip the patch in some cases can blow up your memory and you have some errors in OS side. Check path environment variable and also check space. So here it's the note to download OPatch utility. So this is the note. You can go here and download the patch. To patching the OPatch, which is the utility that you are going to use in all patch exercise, it's simple. It's just a matter of download the file, move the folder, the original folder, and then unzip the file. So OPatch has a lot of prehacks. If you want to check, the most common that I use is check system space and check for conflicts as the recommendation as the README file point us. But there is a lot of more prehacks you can check on this note. Okay. As I mentioned before, sometimes you don't follow the prehack and then you can run out of space. Then because of this patch storage directory, since Oracle 10.2, Oracle decides to instead to copy just affect the modules, Oracle copy the entire library. So this directory become bigger and bigger in your installation. So there is a utility here, OPatch cleanup. You release some free space. Don't remove this folder by your hands, otherwise your installation will fail, your patch it will fail. Okay, so here is the screen of the OPatch to clean up working, and here we have the problem that I faced last year. So I was just doing a pre-check, issuing a pre-check, and then when everything was fine, when I applied the patch, I received this error here because of a damaged library. I don't know what happened, if somebody did some mess of, or if other patch damaged this library here. It's this library here. So in this case, for my lucky, I tried to perform what Oracle said, restore.sh and make.txt, and it doesn't help at all. The installation goes wrong, and even if with me trying to conceal, it was not enough. So my patch for this home failed with this fail code 7.3. Okay, to solve this, I just copy from another machine who has the good installation, and then I issue a link, and then I was able to patch this environment on 11G last year. Okay, another thing that's really good for you, it's put the environment variable correct. So nm make LED, I think it's AR, must be on your path. Usually on Linux and Unix systems are in this directory. So when we start to patch an Oracle home, it's good be sure that we are playing with the correct environment variables. So it's easy when you do a plan. You just need to unzip the file, go to the unzipped folder here, unzip the patch, go to unzipped folder, and then check it's even with the planning. It's good idea to check the pre-check of conflicts again in your Oracle local machine. Maybe somebody else apply one conflicting patch during your planning and apply phases. So if you receive the OPatch succeeded, pre-hack passed, it's time to go. So it's like that. You just launch OPatch, apply, and then answer as yes if you already stopped all Oracle instances running on this Oracle home. Okay, so this is the more parts of the patch screen. And then when you received this OPatch succeeded is the quite pleasure when you receive this kind of message with no errors, when you have succeeded on your patch exercise. So so far I just talked about patch binaries, and now we will talk about data dictionary, because we need to patch also the data dictionary using Datapatch. In the past, we used to run this guy, cat bundle, PSO, CPU, depend of the patch, or exa in the beginning of the Exadata. So now we just need to play with this guy on 12C and onwards. So Datapatch, it's online. So after applying the binary patch, you can just launch Datapatch. I used to play like this, Datapatch verbose, and we will see the output like here with these no errors here. It's very nice. Sometimes we face some errors, but it's sometimes we can check on the README. There is a now issues session. So if you face some issues which are already listed by Oracle, we are good to go. If we have some conflicts during a patch exercise, you can launch a OPatch rollback and give the ID of the patch. So in this case, we will remove the patch from our Oracle Home. Okay. This was different because we realized that on 12c release 2, as far as I know, I never faced this before, to patch one thing even before to install it. So first time I saw was on 12c release 2 grid installation, when we need to unzip the patch, the binaries in a destination folder, and then apply some patches on it like this. Okay. Here it's a little small how-to when I have experience on apply the patch in Oracle Enterprise Manager Cloud Control on AX. So I faced some issues. First issue that I remember was when I was backing up the Oracle Home, I received some sockets file errors. I just saw this on AX. So I read one note in Oracle saying that you can go to these files are just for sockets. Okay. One another thing that I faced is regarding limit, because on AX the system administration usually don't change the EU limit. So if you plan to create large files to unzip, for example, the patch, or to back up the Oracle Home, you need to you need to change the limit. So here it's almost the same thing, but instead to use OPatch, we have a different guy in place. It's OMS Patcher because of the Oracle Enterprise Manager. But it's the same structure, same follow up. We need to download the OMS Patcher, put it on a folder, and just unzip on the regular folder. For the OPatch, because we need to upgrade the both utilities, it's quite different. We need to use Java like I am using here. Okay. So we have the same follow-up as I told you before. You can go to the Oracle Home, move the current folder to issue a backup, then unzip the OMS patcher there. Okay, then you can check the version right here. For the Enterprise Manager, we need to play with these keys for upgrade, for patching the Oracle Enterprise Manager. So that's some tips that I put here. We need to generate this key file as Oracle user. And then if we analyze with OMS patcher here, it's a kind of a pre-check. Then we can stop the Enterprise Manager and apply the necessary patches, put putting the property file generated in the last slide. And for here we reach the final phases, which we need to check what we did, and we have some problems. So the easiest way, at least for me, to check if I patch the binaries correct is list the patches on with this command OPatch alias patches, which is the summarized version of the output. It will be like this. Okay, so we have the number and description. We can also choose the expanded version. Oracle usually requests this expanded version to work with bugs and to see what you have installed on your machine. But to be honest, I prefer these ls patches because it's quite difficult to read this long ls inventory. Here is the way how to check if the data dictionary is patched or not. Sometimes some DBAs apply the patch on the binaries and completely forgot to run the SQL part of the patch on the database. They forgot to load the new views and new objects on the database, and it can lead in some problems in the future. So this view has $history. It's an internal view you can access using sys user. Is the way to check the patches on the previous version. So for example, in Oracle 11G, I don't know, I don't remember exactly if the Oracle 10G was the same view, but at least for the Oracle 11G is that view. Okay, so here we can check the action, the date, and the version. Okay, so I use the view because Oracle maintain to retrocompatibility. I use this view to as we use to query on 11G versions, but this database, when I query this view, was running 18C. Okay, so on 11G and onwards, on 12C and onwards, we need to check this view, DBA registry SQL patch. Here we have the description, the action, and the action date, as we have almost the same thing. For example, during the last exercise patch that I did, I was installing 19c.7 April patch, and Datapatch. It's smart enough to hold back the previous patch 19.5 and then apply the 19.7 patch. Okay. Check this time. Okay. So it's a good idea during the planning phases as well. Check if you already have any invalid object, any invalid component here to be sure that after the patch exercise, you don't damage nothing on your database. Sometimes it's just a matter of you run a utlrp and then you can fix some problems. Sometimes we need to contact Oracle to do a workaround in some invalid components. I think on 12c release 1, I had some problem due to some invalid objects. And probably I haven't mentioned before, but for patching Oracle using a regular database or a multi-tenant environment, it's pretty much the same steps. If you follow what I share today, probably you have no problem and almost no difference. The only thing that I see between them is the data patch on a multi-tenant environment take more time to complete because you need to apply patch on each PDB. Okay, and also if you are running into a multi-tenant, instead to check DBA registry, it's better idea to check CDB registry to see all registry in all PDBs. Okay, so this is time for questions and answers. And I will just try to say in Deutsch, Dank fürs Zuhören.